Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Zamfira from Zamfira Games, and this is another episode, but the look might surprise you if you are coming back from my older videos. This is actually not another episode for the Wet Sock Zoo, but it is going to be the first episode of another series of a desert zoo. I still haven't come up with a name yet. I'm still working on it, but I promise you I'm gonna come up with a name with the next episode for this zoo. But until then, we're just gonna call it the Desert Zoo. And why did I start a new zoo? Well, the Arid Animal Pack came out a couple of weeks ago, and it was time for me to finally get it. And yeah, that's why we are gonna start a new zoo. So let's get started. So as you already have seen, we also start with one of the Arid Pack animals, of course. How couldn't I start with one of them? I actually planned out a whole desert zoo, not only for the Arid animals, or the animals from the new Arid Animal Pack. They are gonna be the first animals, all of them, in the zoo, but after we've made all of their habitats and welcomed them into our desert zoo, we are also gonna add some older animals that are also, well, desert animals that live in this biome. But we're gonna start with all of the Arid Animal Pack animals, and the first one is the Dama Gazelle. The Dama Gazelle is gonna be the first animal you're going to see when you basically enter the zoo. You can see a little bit in the background. There's a little fountain, and right behind the fountain, you're gonna see the Dama Gazelles. For this zoo, I was trying to go for a not typical style for myself. I normally go with more of like an old school zoo, or like older zoos in general, or more of a reserve, like a eco zoo where they don't have like a big budget, and more for like animal welfare and like getting animals that were maybe like treated wrong or something like that. Like, I hope you understand what vibe I am normally going for. But this time I wanted to try something else. I'm gonna try to build a little more modern zoo, a newer zoo. You'll definitely see it with the entrance. This is like really something else I tried, but I'm quite happy. You're not gonna see it yet because it is not fully decorated. I am happy with it so far, but it is just not finished yet. So you're gonna have to wait a little before you can see the entrance. I also filmed the building process of the entrance, at least the well, like the base of the building, not all of the decorations, but basically just the building itself, with like the base structure, as you can see in the background already a little. But yeah, we're not here to talk about the entrance. We are here to talk about the Dama Gazelle habitat. And as you already can see, I wanted to have like a really good view right when you enter the zoo, to have something for the guests when they enter. They're just gonna be, oh wow, there's already like some animals, and a pretty low barrier with some foliage in front of it, but of course not too much, because the guests still need to have a good view over it. And almost did like a wet mode. I don't know if you could already categorize it as a wet mode, but that was basically the inspiration I had, to put like a natural, unnatural water source in front. You're gonna see unnatural. Why? Because obviously we are in a super hot area. It is a desert, so there's normally not too many water holes. So of course we're gonna add water with some pipes into it, and just gonna collect what's overflowing and recycle and reuse the water, of course. But yeah, and I already jumped to making the background or the backstage area. You're all gonna sorry. You're gonna also see how I build the backstage area, and I wanted to build the backstage area similar to the African penguins I did with this faux rocks background, so that the building already is the more or less natural background, and the roof is gonna stay open for now because there's going to be a restaurant on top that's gonna have a terrace on the other side where the guests can have like a super nice view from their table where they can like eat and drink and have a super nice view into another habitat. But that's for another episode. So yeah, that's why the building still looks a little bit weird and a little bit naked and of course roofless. But yeah, so you already see I already started some pebbles because this was the first habitat for the desert zoo. I wasn't too sure what exactly or what plants I exactly wanted to use, so I first needed to like figure out the vibe I was going for, or like what trees I'm gonna use, because maybe you already know that I use plants over and over again in the zoos. So yeah. So, and I found these trees that are pretty small actually for the Planet Zoo trees. If you know what I mean, you know. They are normally like super huge and just ginormous, and I really like their size. And all three of the varieties were pretty similar size-wise, so that was really nice. And then I did again these little cages so that the gazelles wouldn't like rub against it too much and maybe destroy like the bark or something and maybe hurt the tree, also because of their horns and stuff like that. So I just added a little protection for the trees. Yeah, and then just basically started decorating. I don't even know what to tell you with this one. Yeah, and then I wanted to hide their little enrichment item, like, or not really hide, but like make it look like it was wrapped around a tree. But at first I couldn't really find a tree that was fitting, so later I'm gonna just use a old like birch tree that's like already dead. And yeah, and I just start building the habitat with some rocks. I generally just place them pretty like spontaneously, like just around where I just feel like it. There's no like structure behind putting down these rocks or whatnot. I just put some down and just see where are big open spaces and just do something. So the habitat is just not too flat or something like that. And yeah, and then I added some dried bushes. Of course, it is super hot, so there wouldn't be like a lot of super green foliage. So I just added a handful of bushes and then some like dried up or maybe like eaten up bushes, because the gazelles maybe would also nibble on the branches, so they are pretty naked. And then some smaller like succulents and this like grass type of plant. I'm not too sure what it is called right now, and just randomly scramble them around the habitat. Yeah, that's basically what I always do. I just try to make like little groups of items like around rocks, and I would place some bushes around and some plants, and then I start building up these little groups with all of the plants that I generally use. Then I go back, take a step back and just take a look and see what else is missing, what areas are still like super naked. And then it was already time to put down the grass. I've already said that sometime in my other videos, or I think I even say it all the time, that putting these grass patches down and then lowering them a little bit into the ground just makes the flat areas of the habitat super interesting, or not super interesting, but definitely less boring, because just a plain earth or grass field would be just boring. So just place down some of these and they definitely look way better than the long grass from the like painting tool for the terrain. And then basically as almost a last step, I just add some dead trees around, just to make it a little more interesting and, you know, to add some details. You can also use these like branches and tree stumps from the habitat menu that are actually like climbable, also like for not climbing animals, like the gazelles, because they can also give like a different look when you put down like dead branches and stuff like that, because we don't really have like a huge amount of dead trees or branches in general from the foliage tab. So that's just a little tip. I don't use it really often because I simply just forget it, but I just need to remind myself to use them more often because it just looks nice. At least that's what I think. And then I started building up the well, border. Do you say border? I don't know. Of the habitat, again with the faux rocks. I also really liked the preset coloring of them. It just was really fitting for the vibe of the zoo and the biome in general. So I just kept them the color they are. And here I wanted to add just a little window so you could see the animals from another view and not from like this far back, because obviously of the water the animals will not come super close to the barrier from the front. So I just added one little window on the side, and at the other side I just completely built down with the rocks. And here I already put down the little pipe where the water is going into the little pond, and I also added this little like splashing thingy so it just looks a little more realistic, and of course that the water doesn't overflow or gets too full, so the water gets collected and you know the drill, gets recycled and reused. And then I already started to do the backstage. Actually, this habitat went really fast for me. I built this in like an hour and 40 minutes or an hour and 45 minutes. So that was pretty quick. I was a little bit surprised with myself that I did it so fast, especially because it was the first habitat of this biome or of the zoo. I don't think I've really built like a desert zoo yet. I did build like a handful of desert biome habitats in older zoos that were like before my time on YouTube. But that's basically it. And yeah. And here you can see me again doing these custom fences in the backstage area. As you might have seen my red river hawk habitat and the African penguin habitat, these two were basically the kickstart for me of doing backstage areas and the shelters more detailed than usual. Sometimes I would have just put down like a really simple building, put a roof on top, some of the bedding on the ground, and that was basically it. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with myself that I started also doing more complex or more detailed backstage areas or buildings in general. So yeah, that was really nice. And again, a little sliding door. I just reused the fences I did before and just modified them to be, of course, bigger and fitting for the opening we have right there. And of course, close it up some more so the wind wouldn't like completely blow through it, or I don't know. Of course, we don't want just a simple fence as a door, so we just make it the way it is right now. I don't even know what I'm talking. I think sometimes it's pretty hard for me to just keep talking for like 20 or 30 minutes in a video. I mean, this video is pretty short for like a whole habitat with backstage area. But especially for like my African penguin habitat, which was made in 2 parts because I just had so much video material that I could not put it into one video. It would have just been simply too long. And like talking about one habitat for like 2 videos straight, which one was like 20 minutes and the other one was 30 minutes, it is tough, honestly. And I don't know, do you guys prefer if I just keep talking for the whole video, or if you're like fine with taking little breaks if I don't have really something interesting to say about the habitat or just in general, or not only with me but also with like other YouTubers? What do you prefer? Do you love listening to our lovely voices, or do you just want us to shut up and watch the video, and yeah, just let me know. And because the building was pretty big right here, I just wanted to include some staff facilities so that they are just hidden in there and just practical to have them in the backstage areas, or well, of course in the backstage areas, but in these buildings where also the shelters, because I think it would be pretty realistic that at least like the kitchen where they prep the food for the animals is also in the same building where the animals have the shelter, or where they can like access the habitat. So yeah, that was really nice. And of course I just placed down some little items. And yeah, that was basically it with the first episode of the Desert Zoo. If you maybe have an idea for a cute name for the zoo, just write it into the comments and maybe I'm gonna use your idea. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again in the next episode. Until then, bye guys!